We're live again for episode 4 of the Three Stuff Mums Viral Edition. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Who are you?
I was going to say, in case you haven't met us before, I am Kate, and I'm self-isolating at home with children, so I am physically stuffed.
I'm Maggie. I am working from home, so I am mentally stuffed.
And I'm Kehao, and I'm stuck at home all day with my husband, so we're about ready to tell each other to get stuffed.
And we're the Three Stuffed Mums.
And welcome to the Viral Edition. Yay!
Welcome!
Alrighty, and a big special shout out to Jackie. Jackie said hello to us before the show even started. We're not even sure how that actually happened, but hi, Jackie. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming along to watch the show tonight. Hopefully you made it.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody that's already signed in. We won't be able to, sometimes when the comments start rolling in, we have a hard time catching up because we're busy blabbing. So if we don't say hello to you when you pop in, please know that we're like, mwah, appreciate all of you showing up. And we do see it. We're just not always able to comment on it. So,
and a big special hello to everybody watching the replay as well, because we had quite a lot of people watch the replay of our last episode. So hi to you guys as well. It's awesome. If you are watching the replay, make sure you do leave us a comment as well, because then we can see it and say hello to you afterwards.
All right,
that's great. And actually, the last time I looked, we had just under 500 views for the last video. Yay! So for Tuesday's episode, so thank you.
Yeah, really.
That's awesome. You guys are showing us some love. That is so amazing. So thank you so much.
So now we're going into...
we're going into our first segment. But
Bowser.
What is the first segment?
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, there we go.
Ding, 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 ding.
You play the music.
Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Isolation.
All right, isolation. There we go. I was like, quick, get the title up. But we've got it here now. So, ladies, what are your observations for this week?
Well, for me, I have to admit that I only know this has happened because I'm working from home. Otherwise, I would never be aware of it. But a while ago, we got one of our friends, Rachel, gave us a beautiful doormat with a kind of joke on it. And Stephen, hubby, decided to put that out the front a few days ago. Just thought he'd change things up. Now, what it says on this doormat is, doorbell broken, please yell ding dong really loudly. So, I just knew that he'd kind of changed it about. But then I realised over the past few days, every time we got a courier delivery, all we heard was... And then today it happened again, and I went out the front, and there's Stephen testing the doorbell, and I'm like, yeah, it works. Well, courier drivers were reading the doormat, not even testing to see if the doorbell worked, not even checking, thinking that it was a joke, and they just...
No sense of humor.
No, it's like, I wish all men were that compliant. So yeah, that's my observation for today.
That's classic. That's awesome.
What about you, Kate? You got anything?
Yeah, well, I found out that isolation time is the one and only time that, I've worked out what the adult equivalent of going to see Santa is. Because at Easter time, I went to Hague's Chocolates to get some chocolate for for Easter, and I lined it up all the way down Betty Road at Glenelg, and it took me ages to get into the shop. And when I walked into the shop, it was just like they pulled back the curtain, and it was like, oh, and it was like, Santa's here.
It's the magic cave.
It is the magic cave, and I hadn't really thought about it again until on the weekend when I went to the Orange Spot Bakery. Yum, heads up to those guys, award-winning pasties if you're watching. But I lined up down the Anzac Highway for a little bit, walked in, finally got in, and then you get in the door. But then they had a bit of a plot twist at the Orange Spot Bakery, and you had to turn sideways to go through the cafe, and then you got into the shop, and I'm just like, this is really like the magic cave. It was so exciting.
Someone's telling us that there's an echo again. Someone has their speakers on again, so there's the echo of a sound loop again this episode.
I don't know. Is it still going?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear echo. Yeah. I can hear an echo.
Because I'm sounding all right from my end. Who can you hear echoing, K-Hal?
Me and Maggie.
Oh yeah, I can hear it too.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Do you guys maybe try plugging in your just taking the headphone out and putting it back in? I don't know if that will work, but it's sort of like the equivalent of resetting the turning the computer on and off. I don't know if it's going to work or not.
Somebody said it's only Maggie.
And somebody said, and Rod. I don't even know. Okay. Well, we'll see how we go. We'll just have to push on. Maybe we'll make sure that we don't talk over the top of each other. What's Maggie
fat
doing?
Chance for that.
Oh, Maggie's pulling out the big guns. Look at this.
She's pulling out the expensive wear. The Mickey Mouse ears she's pulling on. Pilot to Bombardier. And
maybe during this next segment, Maggie, can you hear us while you're getting mic'd up? You look like you're on the radio now. And we can say anything we want, and she can't hear us right now. But it's like,
yes.
Are we back? Maggie's still muted. Can I unmute her? Hang on. All right, is that working? Yep. All right, fingers crossed that works better. Maggie, you look like you're ready on the Peter Gers show now.
Yes. I just have to nick out for a cigarette.
Hello, Peter. When we used to go on there, and then we'd all have the.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
So let us know if it's still not working. So, and if it's not, then we have no idea what to do about it. We'll just have to carry on.
Like the show says, we're all stuffed.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we're ready for our next segment of the night, which is, are you ready to mumble? So this episode's Ready to Mumble Mumblings is coming to us from K-Hal. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, let's go. Take it on, K-Hal.
Today's mumble is about the use of language and maybe because I'm a Virgo, but it just irritates me so much. And sometimes people say, you're such a grammar Nazi, right? But I can't help it. I make my living with words and with speaking, and I'm an avid reader. I always have been since I was a child. I go through 1 up to 3 books a week if I have the time and the resources. I make my living with language. I paint pictures with words, and so I get highly offended and irritated when words are abused or not respected and all that kind of stuff. So I get really, really irked at that. In today's life, what passes for communication, when there is any, is very sloppy. And some people only read and write text from their phone. And, reading should not involve numbers unless you're doing algebra. So if you're spelling great, it shouldn't be GR with an 8 in it. Okay, I get irritated with that because I'm like, give the word its due. This is not algebra. Leave the numbers to the mathematicians. So communication skills to me are quite important. And why is that? Clear communication to me leads to better understanding. Better understanding contributes to clear thinking. Clear thinking gives us common denominator to communicate with each other and can produce great results, right? But those skills seem to be fading, and it freaking irritates me because some people are relying on spell check. Why do we have to know all that? We can do spell check. God forbid the Wi-Fi should ever go down, because people would be totally stuck. And here's a list of stuff that particularly irritates me. The misuse of one of the little building blocks of language, the humble yet very important comma. Now, why is the comma important? Here, consider this. Someone asks you what your favorite things are in the world, and you say, I like cooking, comma, my family, comma, and pets. And if you put the commas in, you're a loving, kind, thoughtful person. You take the commas out, you're a freaking cannibal. I love cooking, my family, and my dogs. You know what I mean? This is not, if you're the latter, remind me not to accept any invitations for dinner at your house. Okay? Now, if you're making signs for other people to read, make sure those signs make sense, right? Signage can be very confusing if you don't have the correct punctuation in there. This is a sign in the lobby of a building. Caution, pedestrian, slippery when wet. No commas involved. So it's either a very timely warning or they're making a porn film somewhere. Okay. Now, this sign was outside the bathroom in a business. Now, you know how when you go sometimes to some stores, you can't go to the bathroom. You can't use the bathroom in their store. It's for employees only or whatever, right? So this is a sign that was put up in one store. No commas whatsoever. Toilet only for disabled, elderly, pregnant children. I want to see who goes into that room. I don't know any disabled, elderly, pregnant children in the world, but there should be commas in that sign. This is a sign outside of a council office building. Now, these people are in charge of shit. You would think they would know how to talk. Here's the sign. No commas, right? Smoking bare feet cats prohibited. Right? No commas. So if you want to smoke a cat with shoes, feel free, apparently. Okay? Some signage is meant to be serious, but they become unintentionally hilarious because they don't use the right word, or they fail to put their words in the right order, or they leave out something, something key. This is a sign on a library bookshelf. Now, this is a public library, books in a certain section. This is the sign. Sign says, please do not touch yourself. Ask the staff. Thank you. Now, I'm hoping they were talking about the books, or that maybe that's the friendliest library staff that you're ever going to see. Now, in my act, I use an example on the Adelaide airport, right? And this is another sign where they fail to make the connection between an object and a subject. Okay? Here's the sign. Adelaide Airport Limited uses recycled water for toilet flushing. Do not drink. Now, to me, that sounds like they're using, they expect you to be, pulling your head out of the bowl like a German Shepherd. I don't know what it is, but they're leaving something key out in that signage, right? Now, punctuation can change the meaning of a sentence entirely. You may not mean it, but once you forget the punctuation, people have no idea what you're talking about. Now, look at this sentence. I am giving up eating chocolate every day now. Now, if you put punctuation in there, it means something different. I'm giving up, exclamation point, eating chocolate every day now. That's a different thing. Someone has just gone, screw it, I'm going to eat the chocolate. Sometimes ignorance of the right word changes the entire meaning of the sign. This is a sign in a store. Shoplifters will be prostituted. Now, I'm assuming they mean prosecuted, but if not, I figure out, that store is going to make their money back one way or another. What do you do? So you get my point, and please don't even get me started on apostrophes. There's so many apostrophes just hanging in the wrong places, especially when you go to grocery store. In fact, those misplaced apostrophes have become known as the grocer's apostrophe, because the tomatoes are now a tomato apostrophe S. So I don't know what belongs to the tomato in that bin, but so if you are, and also one thing that cracks me up is every time there are immigrants speaking their own language, somebody will always say, you're living in a country that speaks English, you should learn the language. I think the English people should learn the language as well. My husband is originally from England, and he has a habit of saying, and this irritates me, and I know it's a colloquialism, I get it, but it still irritates me. He goes, I was sat there for an hour. I'm like, no, you either sat there for an hour or you were sitting there for an hour, but you can't was sat. We have that argument all the time. I'm like, you people conquer the world, you make us learn your language, and you don't even know what it is yourself. So I have a few books I'd like to recommend if you're interested in taking care of your language. Okay. This one is very, it's in my library. It's by Strunk and White. It's called The Elements of Style. Now this is pretty straightforward. A lot of writers have this in their library. It's pretty straightforward and a very good source of the correct information about writing, right? This one is a little funnier. It's called Eats, Shoots, and Leaves. So either someone is eating shoots and leaves, or they eat, they shoot, and then they leave. So that one is hilarious to read, and yet is very informative. And the author is Lynn Truss. So if you're interested in that, that's good. Now this one I got for Christmas one year, and it pretty much sums up my whole thing about apostrophes. I don't know if you can see. Hello. I don't know if you can see this.
Hold on, get closer, K-Hal.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, hold on, stop. And just in case people can't read because they haven't got their glasses on, or if they're on their phone, what's the book called?
It's called Fucking Apostrophes. And it's by a guy called Simon Griffin. And he goes through the whole thing about fucking apostrophes being misplaced, and and how the rules change and all that. So if you are interested in getting a little bit more, what the Hawaiians call akamai, which is a little smarter about the use of language, then I would recommend those 3 books. And so I would just like to say, word. So that's it. Yeah, word. So that's it. That's my little grumble about language.
Well, I feel told.
Thank you, Kaya. You're fabulous. But I'm surprised you didn't get into the you and the yours.
Yeah.
Oh, there, yours. It's and it's. It's just every time I see, I'm just like, that might be my Virgo happening. I just get irritated with these little things, but it's important. I make my living with words. It's important to have the correct word.
This one's come from Rod. This is a question based on the title of that book.
Yeah, only if it's grammatically correct.
I must admit, I was
Get ready. That's just for us.
I was feeling a wee bit scared when you started, because you were thumping the desk so much.
I tell you, getting violent. Yeah, I think that's Catholic school training. They teach you very early about writing. I mean, when you're in the 2nd grade, as soon as you learn how to read, by the 2nd grade at St. Teresa's, we had to go to the library every week, and we had to write a book report. And they were very, they were only one-page book reports when we were little, but, they progressed as we got older. But, it's the training is good old Catholic school training. Thank you, Sister Teresa Bernard, for that, being very strict about that, because communication is important. Language is important. You know,
Mhm.
you have to get the right word across. You have to be understood in order for you to solve a problem. You know, you can't, you can't have, shoplifters will be prostituted. I'm sorry. That's just not on, you know.
Well, you can if that's what you mean.
Well, like I say, the store's going to make their money back. So what do they care?
Oh, right, okay. Right, we're going to put that one to bed now. We're going to put the yours and the yes and the theirs and the dots and the whatever's.
Yeah, all the dots and the dots.
Yeah,
and
we've dotted the I's and crossed the T's on that one. And now it's time for Go Ask Your Mothers.
Yay!
And this segment is, if you haven't seen the show before, this segment is all because when you have a curly question and when somebody gets asked a curly question, they say, I don't know, go and ask your mother. So we have thought we have used that as our segment. So this question this week is, hang on, I've just got to tidy up the spelling of it because otherwise it's had
I'll be right there.
We can't sort that out. So today's question is another anonymous question, but this one is actually from somebody, not made up from us. But the question is, how do you cope with a teen daughter who has her first boyfriend? I'm trying not to polish my guns, lol. So what have we got for this one, ladies? What advice can we offer?
Go ahead, Maggie.
Yeah, go, Maggie.
So first off, we do know that the lassie is 13.
Right.
Yep. So all kind of legality taken as read, and that they're, not doing the dirty dancing, if you know what I mean.
Lolita thing, yeah.
But yeah, it can be really challenging, I think. And I think it's as much about you knowing your boundaries and what you will and will not stand for. And that if you've been communicating with your kid over a period of time and they know how you are, I think you're much more likely to have a smoother sail. I think it's when you spring stuff on them when you get frightened, or and you spring a reactive set of conditions on them, and they don't see where this has come from, and they feel it's unreasonable. So I think that kind of establishing the clear communication between you from way back really helps as you go through. I know that when our guys were younger, one of the very clear things that we had a house of boys, was that this was our home, and if you're in a steady relationship, that's one thing, but you do not bring random girls home, for overnight stays. And one night, our eldest stumbled in from the dancing, and I heard him and a girl speaking in the kitchen. And I woke. At that point he was a lot older, but our youngest was 15 at the time, so I wanted there to be good examples. So I was like, Stephen, Andy's got somebody in that room. And he's like, what? And I said, look, I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to go in there and tell them, because they'd moved from the kitchen, obviously having a cup of coffee or something, and it had moved into the bedroom. And I'm like, no, because I'm very, my best line of defense is attack. And the other mums know this of me, right?
Yeah.
I tend to go in there.
Or like Kate would say, don't go all Glasgow on us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Kate says to me when I'm like, ooh!
Yeah.
So I was saying to Stephen, Stephen's Australian, so he's like, no. And so he ended up texting Andy and saying, I think you better get out of there with that girl. Make sure she's in a taxi home.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's trying to hold me back in the room, and I'm like, I'm in mother mode, So yeah, Yeah, so be prepared to attack when necessary, but otherwise take it slowly.
Yeah, but you kind of have to, because you have to watch that. And at 13 as well, if you come down too hard, they do the opposite, and they're just going to want to go, well, you don't trust me, and it's like, well, no. So, like you say, it's good to establish some kind of rapport about it a bit earlier. My brother, and I think you tend to worry more about girls, that you have young girls that are finding things. And my brother, my niece is just a beautiful child. She was like, Brooke Shields when she was a young girl. I mean, peaches and skin, just beautiful skin and big brown eyes and long, thick, curly eyelashes and just dimple. I mean, just, adorable child. But she was the child, 11 years old. Boys would come to the house and just want to play baseball. And they'd come to the house and they'd be on the porch and they'd knock on the door and they say, can Tony come out and play? And my brother would stand there and like, yeah, what's your name? Where do you live? What does your father do for a living? What's good here? And my sister-in-law was like, Ed, get away from the door. Ed, get out of here, because he was just overdoing it, protecting his daughter. So you have to find that balance.
Yeah.
My thing is, you know what, and this happened with all my son's friends, whether they were girls or not. I would my house is open to all of you. Just come. I want to know you as well, so that I know and I can be confident in that friendship or in that relationship. And, and we established quite early that he could ask about anything and I would give him a straight answer. So, once you establish that, it helps when things like this come up, because you tend to already have a basis for you guys to talk without going, well, you don't trust me, and you think I'm going to be taking my pants off. They just go berserk. So establish quite early, like Maggie says, establish your own boundaries, what you'll accept, and let them know that in advance, and and let them know that you do trust them, but hormones, so you do want to acknowledge Mother Nature in all of that, but try not to make it like a blame game thing. Or I say let him, invite the guy home, have him come to dinner, have him do family stuff with you. So either they're going to be appalled that you're becoming friends with their boyfriend and forget about it, or that'll establish a really good relationship for you.
Yeah.
So, either way.
I think the other thing as well, even before it gets to relationships, is to instill, if you have girls, is to instill that sense in them that they are a queen. They don't have to please anybody.
Or put up with anything.
Yeah, or put up with anything, or they don't have to accept any pressure. They know that if somebody is pressuring them, then that is not a friend who's doing that, and that is not someone who cares for them. And if they have a great self-esteem, and I know that's hard these days to build that in young women, but it's so important, because then it gives them the power to stand in their own power and reject stuff that's just not good enough for them.
Yeah. And the hard part is to have no judgment, or at least not in front of them, because then they feel they can't talk to you. So you do want the communication open, you know what I mean? And no question is, too stupid or too embarrassing, to deal with. That's really the only thing. And the rest is like, you just let them know that you'll baseball his head if, you'll bat his head in if anything happens. And then that'll establish quite early that, they know where they stand.
I haven't got that yet with my daughter, but one of the things that I'm really working on with her is a term that I came up with called bulletproof self-esteem. So it's just like, how do I make sure that she's 100%, or as much as I can, she be comfortable with who she is, so that she's able to say no, that she's able to say I don't feel comfortable, and be able to stand there and mean it. So just following on what Maggie said, because it's hard, because like kids want to voice their opinions, and sometimes you just got to get stuff done. And it's like every time she challenges me with things, rather than just completely dismissing it on this is not on a relationship thing, but maybe just that I don't want to wear a jumper or whatever, rather than just going, put on your jumper and we're going out the door, it's like giving her the time and space to say why she doesn't want to wear a jumper, or coming up with a plan or whatever, so that we can work together, so that we're working together now so that we're also then working together when she comes up against other things. And I think that parents, like, there's this fun little bit of a joke and a bit of banter with parents that, oh, not in my house, and I'm not, like, I got to get the gun out and be careful who takes out my daughter. But by the same token, we need to have faith in our kids that we've brought them up in the right way, that they can make their own choices. And rather than being the security guard of their life, being the person that helps them navigate their challenges rather than being the enemy for our kids.
Because you're not going to be with them 24 hours a day. So,
Exactly.
they have to be able to make a decision, and hopefully you've taught them how to make a good decision.
Yeah, and so if we help them put in the boundaries in place for themselves, then, and obviously we have to have our own boundaries as parents of what we will and won't accept in our house, but then if we put those boundaries in place with our kids to help them put their own boundaries in place, then everyone's going to have a much better life. And it's 13 now, but it won't be long till she's an adult. And it's such a fascinating.
Yeah. And then, you always have the classic to fall back on, because I said so. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. I said so, and I'm your mother, so that's it. Yeah. So push come to shove, you can go with the old chestnut, but try not to get there, at least not real early.
That usually means you've lost.
Yeah. By that time, you've just lost the plot. So they don't even respect you at that point. It's like, really? That's what it's come to.
Because, and if there's any kids watching, when your parents say, because I said so, it's like, I am completely done. I have got nothing left in the tank and I'm ready for a wine. So I've said so. That's over. I'm having a wine.
I got no other answer for you except just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, good. I think that we've answered that one well. And just another disclaimer on that this is for purely entertainment purposes only, and there is no legal recourse for any advice.
Yeah, we don't want the next question to come from a 13-year-old girl. What the hell did you tell my mother? Yeah. So.
All right, so it's almost time to wrap up the show. Has anyone got a 30-second bingeable that we can share, or should we just save them for next week?
We could save it for next week. We're already going, slightly over.
I've got a 30-second SBS On Demand, Blood. It's a Celtic noir. They've just released the second series. Fantastic. Adrian Dunbar, who's also in Line of Duty. Fantastic kind of family murder mystery. Watch it.
Fabulous.
Alrighty.
All right, so that's Blood on SBS On Demand.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you, Maggie. And I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Donna. She's just given us some tips, or our listeners some tips. I read a book called How to Talk to Your Teens So They Listen, and How to Listen So Your Teens Talk. An eye-opener for me as I realised I wasn't listening to my daughter. So that might be a helpful book if you're in that as well. So thank you very much for sharing that with us, Donna. And good luck to all the mums out there and all the dads that are trying to navigate this challenging time.
Yeah. See, communication. Get it right. Get it right.
And I think also too, all the parents nowadays are navigating that sort of teenage years in a completely different era to us. Like, if I did something stupid when I was a young person, there may have been a Polaroid snap of it somewhere, but that was pretty much it. Now pretty much everything goes online and broadcast to the world, and can't even imagine how freaky that would be. So
Rod Lewis says, where's her punctuation? Rod, we don't want her to be punctuated. That's why we want to talk to her early. We're trying to avoid the puncture. Never mind.
Donna was probably just trying to get that out as quick as possible because it was helpful information, and we just had to put her.
Thank you. That was good. That was very good.
But if you are typing, just type out the information. We don't care about punctuation. K-Ham might, but I don't.
No, I don't care. That was Rod. I think he meant where's her punctuation for the mom's question, not for that. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
All righty.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much for joining us once again for the Three Stuffed Mums, the viral edition. Please share this with your friends if you're enjoying the show. We'd love to get as many people online.
And keep asking the questions and making comments, and we hope to improve. And thank you for catching us on the echoing again. We will hopefully that's been solved again. So
Yep.
I'll come in big ears then.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
said big ears to you, Maggie, so that's good. And so we're back live again the next Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Any final words from the mums?
Just thank you for watching and can't wait to see you again next Tuesday. Oh, I wasn't being rude.
what? Yeah, let's forget she said see you next Tuesday.
We just went through that into an acronym.
Okay.
I think we should go now.
Bye.
See you next Tuesday, Maggie.